A man walks into a battle he knows he cannot win. His enemy is an immortal god who has destroyed entire worlds and has never been defeated. Yet this man challenges him anyway, not with an army, not with a weapon, but with a plan so insane that it forces a god to surrender. The strangest part? Just a few months earlier, this same man couldn't even hold a coffee cup without his hands shaking. How did a brilliant surgeon become the only person capable of saving Earth from an unstoppable cosmic nightmare? This is the story of Dr. Strange. The story begins in New York City, where we meet Dr. Stephen Strange. He is a genius at his work, but blind to his own arrogance. For him, people do not matter, only his name, his reputation, and his career. One night, he drives his luxury car to give a lecture. While talking to his assistant on the phone, his attention drifts, and then a terrible accident ends everything. Strange survives, but his old life does not. When he wakes up in the hospital, he sees steel pins driven through his hands. His breath stops. Christine Palmer, who truly cares for him, tells him the truth. The nerves and muscles in his hands are shattered. He will never be the same again. Strange breaks down, yet he refuses to give up. He tries every treatment. He fights every doctor. He even undergoes experimental surgery, ignoring the cost. But for a surgeon, the most important thing is steady hands, and his will never return. His hands keep shaking, and with them, his pride begins to crumble. Christine tries to reason with him, asking him to let go of this obsession, but Strange, in his anger, blames her instead, and in that moment, he loses the one person who truly stood by him. Now he is alone, broken, and completely shattered. Then one day, he hears about a strange case. A man who was completely paralyzed somehow learned to walk again. A spark of hope ignites inside Strange. He meets that man, Jonathan Pangborn, and asks him how it was possible. Pangborn explains, when his body gave up, he let his mind explore. That journey took him to a place called Kamar-Taj, where he found something beyond science, something that makes no sense, yet is undeniably real. He gives Strange only a direction and leaves. Now Strange has nothing left to lose. He travels to Kathmandu. He searches every street, every corner for Kamar-Taj, but no one tells him anything. Then some thugs surround him. They beat him. They take his last possessions. Just then, a mysterious man appears, Mordo. He saves Strange and takes him to the very place Strange has been searching for, Kamar-Taj. There, for the first time, Strange meets the Ancient One. She looks at him and says, "You have had 7 surgeries." Strange is astonished. He asks her directly how she healed Pangborn. The Ancient One calmly replies, "I did not heal him. I only showed him that he could walk." Strange tries to explain it with science. But the Ancient One reveals a truth that shakes his entire belief system. The spirit is more powerful than the body. Strange refuses to believe it. He calls it nonsense. Then, in an instant, the Ancient One pushes his spirit out of his body. Strange sees himself from the outside. He is terrified, broken, and for the first time, he realizes that the world is not only what he has always seen, there is so much more beyond it. Then the Ancient One shows him the multiverse, countless worlds, some beautiful, some terrifying. In that moment, Strange's thoughts, his reality, everything shatters. Back in his body, he has only one path left. He bows down and says, "Teach me." But the Ancient One refuses and throws him out. This time, however, Strange does not give up. He stands outside the door for hours, in the cold, hungry, broken, but still standing. Mordo watches this and tells the Ancient One that there is something special in him. But the Ancient One's answer is deeper. It is his ego, the same darkness I have seen before. Mordo reminds her that she once showed him the way. And the Ancient One speaks a profound truth. We do not defeat our inner darkness, we rise above it. When Mordo warns her that Kaecilius still has the stolen pages and could destroy everything, the Ancient One finally agrees. Strange is called back inside Kamar-Taj. He is given a room and told to prepare himself. The very next day, his training begins. The Ancient One explains that magic is not a miracle. It is the art of drawing energy from different dimensions to create spells and weapons. Strange still doubts himself. He asks how his shaking hands can ever do this. The Ancient One asks him how he learned surgery, and Strange understands, just as he learned science, he must now learn magic. His real journey has just begun. He goes to the library, where he meets Wong. There he sees restricted books that hold the secrets of time. He learns that Kaecilius has stolen some pages from those books. Strange takes the books and starts studying. Meanwhile, Kaecilius is busy decoding the stolen pages. Now Strange trains with Mordo and the other students. He is given a sling ring, a tool that opens portals between dimensions, but no matter how many times he tries, he fails. Deep inside, he still believes his hands are useless. Then the Ancient One takes him to Mount Everest. There, freezing to death, he must prove himself before he dies. The moment he lets go of fear and ego, he finally opens a portal and returns to Kamar-Taj. Now Strange is unstoppable. He hides forbidden books and, at night, separates his astral form from his body to study. He learns magic at an incredible speed. The Ancient One is amazed by his progress. She trains him in the mirror dimension, where he can practice without harming the real world. Mordo teaches him combat. Slowly, Strange begins to understand that this is not just magic, it is a responsibility. When he asks about Kaecilius, he learns that Kaecilius was once a student of Kamar-Taj, but his pride and greed pulled him into darkness. That same night, Strange goes deeper into the library and activates the Eye of Agamotto. Now he can turn time forward and backward. Using it, he even sees the missing pages. But Wong and Mordo catch him and stop him immediately. Tampering with time is extremely dangerous. Strange makes an excuse about curiosity, but he is warned that it could have trapped him forever. Mordo is astonished by his ability and admits that Strange is meant for the mystic arts. But Strange is still troubled by his hands and demands answers. Then Wong tells him the truth. Their mission is to protect the world from mystical threats. He explains that there are 3 sanctums on Earth that keep it safe in New York, London, and Hong Kong. Constant danger from other dimensions hovers over them. And the greatest threat of all is Dormammu, the ruler of the dark dimension, who swallows entire worlds. Now his eyes are on Earth. The most terrifying part is that the pages Kaecilius stole contain the method to contact Dormammu and gain his power. Strange steps back and clearly says that he wants nothing to do with this magical war. He came here only to fix his hands. But before he can process any of this, Kaecilius attacks the London sanctum and kills its master. The disturbance causes Strange to suddenly appear at the New York sanctum. Confused, he calls out for Wong, but no one is there. Only 3 doors stand before him, each connected to a different sanctum. Then Kaecilius arrives and kills the guardian of the New York sanctum. Strange tries to stop him, but he is still inexperienced. A dangerous fight begins. Strange creates magical weapons with all his power and somehow defends himself. But Kaecilius and his followers overpower him. Then the environment suddenly changes. Walls bend. The ground spins. Gravity shifts. The entire city seems to break apart. Strange manages to grab one of Kaecilius's men and throws him into another dimension, but Kaecilius is still after him. He catches Strange and beats him brutally. Just when it seems like the end, a red cloak suddenly comes to life and saves Strange. This is the moment Strange gets his first real weapon, the Cloak of Levitation. Now the fight turns. With the cloak's help, Strange traps Kaecilius in a magical cage and asks him what he truly wants. Kaecilius answers calmly. He says that everything in this world ends, everything dies. Even the sun will one day burn out. But the dark dimension is different. There, time has no meaning. If they embrace it, they can become immortal. That is why he wants to bring Dormammu into this world. Strange immediately calls it a lie. But Kaecilius laughs and says that Kamar-Taj collects broken people, and the Ancient One does not tell them the truth. She keeps the real power for herself, and that is how she has lived for so many years. Strange angrily replies that Dormammu has turned Kaecilius into a killer, and one look into his eyes reveals the darkness within. Just then, an attack comes from behind, and Strange is stabbed with a knife. He is badly wounded, but the cloak saves him and gives him a chance. Using his sling ring, Strange opens a portal directly to the hospital. He tells Christine to start surgery immediately, and then collapses. As his body lies on the operating table, his astral form separates. Christine is frightened, but Strange tells her he is dying. Then the enemy he had trapped earlier also appears in his astral form. Now the fight is no longer in the physical world. It moves to the level of the soul. On one side, Christine performs surgery. On the other, Strange fights for his life. Just as the situation worsens, Christine uses a defibrillator, and the electric shock destroys the enemy's astral form. Strange survives. When he regains consciousness, he apologizes to Christine and, for the first time, speaks from his heart. Christine still cannot understand what is happening. Then Strange opens a portal and shows her another dimension. She finally believes that all of this is real. Strange simply says he has to go, and leaves. As soon as he returns, the cloak comes back to him, as if it chose him on its own. He goes looking for Kaecilius, but Kaecilius has vanished. Then Mordo and the Ancient One arrive. They are astonished to see Strange's power. Strange tells them that Kaecilius can now change reality even in the real world. The Ancient One becomes serious. The London sanctum has already fallen. Only New York and Hong Kong remain. She looks at Strange and says that he is now ready to become a master. But Strange refuses. He says that when he became a doctor, he took an oath never to take a life, and today, he broke that oath. Then he reveals a truth that shakes everyone. He says that the Ancient One herself has been using power from the dark dimension to stay alive. The Ancient One says nothing. She quietly walks away. And then Kaecilius attacks again, this time, the New York sanctum. Mordo tells Strange that they must stop him. Strange immediately takes action. He uses magic to trap Kaecilius and his followers inside the mirror dimension, but this proves to be his biggest mistake, because in that dimension, Kaecilius becomes even more dangerous. He cannot harm the real world, but he can destroy them. The mirror dimension begins to break apart once more. The entire environment twists, shatters, and changes under Kaecilius's control. Strange and Mordo try to escape. But every time, the path changes, and they remain trapped. Finally, Kaecilius catches Strange and is about to finish him. Suddenly, the Ancient One arrives. She reshapes the entire dimension and stabilizes the fight, but now the truth cannot be hidden. Mordo also sees that she is using power from the dark dimension. The Ancient One faces Kaecilius and tries to make him understand that Dormammu is deceiving him. His immortality is not a gift, it is a curse. But Kaecilius refuses to listen and attacks with all his strength. In this terrible clash, he badly wounds the Ancient One and throws her through a portal into the real world. Strange immediately rushes her to the hospital, where Christine begins surgery. But then the Ancient One's heart stops. In that same moment, Strange leaves his body and follows her astral form. He tries to stop her, but the Ancient One, calm and peaceful, says that her time has come to an end. She always tried to see beyond time, but there is nothing beyond this moment. Then she reminds Strange that he did not heal Pangborn. Pangborn learned to use dimensional energy himself. At that moment, Pangborn had a choice, to heal himself or to become something greater. Strange realizes that he could also heal his own hands, but the Ancient One tells him that if he does that, the world will lose a great sorcerer. She admits that she used power from the dark dimension, but it was out of necessity. Mordo will never accept that, because he sees the world only in terms of right and wrong. That is why the Ancient One needs Strange, to keep the balance. Strange says he is not ready. The Ancient One smiles and says, "No one ever is," and then her spirit fades away forever. Strange is left alone, but now he has changed. He has a choice, fix his hands or save the world. This time, he rises above himself and chooses others. He puts on his suit, the cloak rises behind him, he is ready for the final battle. Now the story moves to Hong Kong. Wong and the remaining sorcerers stand ready to protect the last sanctum, because Kaecilius has already destroyed 2 of them. Then Kaecilius attacks and begins destroying the city with all his power. Strange goes to Mordo, but Mordo is broken. The truth about the Ancient One has shattered his trust. Strange tells him that perhaps she did what she thought was right, but now the most important thing is to stop Kaecilius. After a moment, Mordo agrees. Both open portals and arrive in Hong Kong. But as soon as they get there, they realize they are too late. The sanctum has fallen, the city is being destroyed, and Dormammu is slowly entering the earth. It seems like everything is over. But Strange refuses to give up. He activates the Eye of Agamotto and begins to reverse time. Broken buildings rebuild themselves. Dead people return to life. Even Wong comes back. However, Kaecilius notices the change and attacks again. Strange and Mordo try to stop him, but the situation worsens once more. Time stops. Kaecilius smiles and says, "This is the real world, where time has no meaning." And in that moment, Strange gets an idea. He does something no one expected. He steps into the dark dimension himself. He stands directly before Dormammu and activates a time loop. In a calm voice, he says, "Dormammu, I've come to bargain." Dormammu laughs and says, "You've come to die. This world is now mine." Without wasting a second, Dormammu kills Strange. But in the next instant, everything resets, and Strange stands before him again, saying the same words. Dormammu, I've come to bargain. Dormammu kills him again, and again, over and over. Each time Strange dies and returns, repeating the same line. Now Dormammu cannot understand what is happening. His anger grows, but Strange does not stop. Finally, Strange explains that just as Dormammu gave Kaecilius power, Strange has brought the power of time with him. This is an endless loop, and now both of them are trapped in it. No matter how many times Dormammu kills him, Strange will keep coming back, unbreakable. At last, Dormammu surrenders and demands that Strange stop. He begs to be freed. Then Strange states his terms. Leave the Earth, take Kaecilius and his followers with you, and never return. Forced to agree, Dormammu accepts. The loop breaks, and Strange returns. On the other side, Kaecilius and his followers begin to change. Their bodies turn to ash, and they are pulled into the dark dimension. Strange watches and says, "This is the immortality you wanted." Then it is over. Dormammu is gone. The threat has passed. Wong breathes a sigh of relief, but Mordo is not happy. He says that they stopped Dormammu, but they broke the natural laws, and there will be a price to pay. He cannot walk this path any longer. He leaves Kamar-Taj. Later, Strange returns the Eye of Agamotto. Wong tells him that he made the right decision, because he is not yet ready to handle its full power. And now the entire universe knows that the Ancient One is gone. So they must be even more vigilant. And with that, Stephen Strange becomes the master of the New York Sanctum, the protector of Earth. In the mid-credits scene, we see Thor sitting with Strange. Thor is searching for his father, Odin. Strange promises to help him. In the end credits scene, Mordo goes to Pangborn and takes away his power. Pangborn falls helplessly to the ground. Mordo says that there are too many sorcerers in the world, and now he will fix it. The story of Doctor Strange, 2016, ends here. On IMDb, the film has an average rating of 7.5 out of 10, based on over 883,000 viewer ratings. We hope you enjoyed this movie explanation. If you did, please share it with your movie lover friends and subscribe to our channel, because we keep bringing videos like this. Thank you for watching.